itself, please put your cameras on. Thank you.
All right.
Go.
Are we recording? Yes, we are. All right. Well, good evening. This is Justine Kucha, and this is the Battery Park City Committee of Community Board One's September meeting. And I welcome you all to this meeting. I am sitting here a little at a loss because I am working on a phone, so I'm seeing things all confused, but let's see if I can introduce my committee. I have my co-chair here, who is Kathleen Gupta. And then I see we've got Dr. Betty Kay. We have Jeff Galloway. We have Jimmy Sung. We have Robin Forst, who is a public. And Jess Coleman's here, but I don't believe he's on the committee, though. And Detta, but that's okay. I'm happy to have all these community board members here. I do see we have a lot of people in the attendee section, so I'm going to rely on you, Lucian, to move them over. As we get started, we go here by Robert's rules. We're going to be recognizing people to speak. You'll be unmuted and you'll be allowed to speak once you're unmuted. So the people in the audience know, as attendees, you will not be on camera, but when it's your turn, I will get to you, but I'm going to be going to the board members first. So the people who are panelists, whose pictures you see, faces you see on the camera, they will go first, but then you will have a turn. And I think we can get started. So now I'm gonna.
Justine, one comment from me.
Yes.
Everyone, I'm putting a link in the chat. If you haven't signed the attendance sheet, please do so by clicking the link in the chat, filling out the Google form. It's very important to have you here for the record. And then also for members, that's how we calculate your attendance as well. So please click on that as soon as you see it. And thank you.
Thanks so much, Lucian. And all right, so I see first on our agenda, but I cannot see that they're here. Is anyone from Battery Park City Authority and the construction committee here?
Actually, yeah, the CCL, Rick Fogarty is here. Let me move him over.
Yeah,
so he can introduce
let's move
himself.
him over. Maybe if Nick
Yeah, let me see if Nick's here too. Oh, I see Nick. Nick.
Sarah is saying she cannot get onto WebEx. Let me take.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay, Nick. We're just getting started.
You would love this. In true New York City fashion, my building has one elevator. An elevator is being repaired, so it's up and down the steps every day by foot. This time carrying a toddler.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, if I'm a little let me put my camera on for the full effect. If I'm a little moist, it's because of the sweating on the way up and down. But I'm here and I wouldn't miss it for the world. So
good.
So thank you.
All right.
And apologies for my tardiness.
It's quite all right. Like I said, we're just getting started, so don't worry.
Okay.
So our first item on the agenda is pulling together and wanting to meet the community liaison for the construction in South Battery Park City, right, for the resiliency. And
Right.
Rick Fogarty, I believe he's here. Rick, excuse me in advance, and excuse me, everybody, that I'm having trouble messing around here with because I'm on my phone. But Rick, welcome.
No worries.
Introduce yourself,
Thank you,
please.
Justine. Yeah, hi, my name is Rick Fogarty. As stated, I'll be the construction community liaison for the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project. I look for it. I was at the about 2 months ago. Got to meet everybody. Got to listen.
In July.
Got some good information. I'm sorry. Oh, it's
July.
Yeah.
In July, we Rick, I think, had popped into both BPC and EPC for sure, just to kind of be introduced.
Yes.
But this was more of a kind of a formal opportunity for Rick to meet the committee and go through some of the preliminary thoughts on planning for the construction outreach. Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
that's okay. I think we're starting to see that my email information has been distributed, and if not, what I can do is I can put that in the chat if that works. And I have a phone. It's a project phone that you can reach me at. It's a direct line to me.
Sorry.
And I'll make sure that information is put into the chat and can be distributed for the committee.
Lucian, distribute that to us. Hello?
Hi, I'm sorry. What did you say? Can you just tell it to us?
Can Lucian distribute that to us?
Yes.
Thank you.
That would be perfect.
I'm excited to work with everybody. I'm here to listen. And I'm also here to let you guys know, be the like I said, the liaison between the construction for the project, and deliver the information from the community back to the project team, to the construction team. And that is my key role, is to make sure that I'm hearing everything that's going on, and I'm making sure that you guys are understanding what's going on with the project. So again, I look forward to working with everybody.
Thanks so much, Rick. Thanks for being here. And
Certainly.
so to note, as the first item of the agenda is kind of having a working group set up to have this done. So Rick, I would like to ask you to come to this committee, which usually will be the first Wednesday of every month, except for August, or when things get changed out. So I think even October, we're going to be kind of moving around because of the Jewish holidays. But after that, it's pretty much set that it's the first Wednesday of the month. And first item on the agenda, if you're good coming and started at 6 o'clock, we could kind of touch base with you to see what's going on. And hopefully there'll be no trouble. But, you know, as we go through, I would be inviting the community to reach out to Lucian, to Community Board 1, to you directly in between the meetings, because we don't want anything to sit and fester. But we could kind of hash things out, see what we need to do, and just make sure that everything is running as smoothly as possible. I am thinking we could start off with a concept that'll be 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. And if you could just commit to coming, that would be great. I know Nick comes all the time, but that way you just kind of know where you are. We'll make you go first. And this way you're in and out.
Absolutely. Already scheduled, by the way.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think we'll start from there and we see how it grows. You know, this is not, I'm hoping that we're not going to have too much troubles. I think that we'll be wanting to hear from the schools. I think we'll want to hear from the Jewish Heritage Museum and the, I think it's 50 Battery Place. That is the closest apartment building. I can't remember if it's 50 or 70, but I'm going to imagine we'll be hearing from them the most most often. But like I said, let's just keep on track. Now, first question for you
Absolutely.
is, when is this all going to start? Do we have a firm date when the park is going to close and they're going to start construction?
We do not have a firm date yet. They're still talking about the project fencing, and we're in communication with the museum, with the school. That's going on right now. So there is a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation. But when I do hear something, I will make sure that you guys are adequately informed when we do have something.
And definitely give us as much notice as you possibly can. And thank you, Robin, for telling me. Tammy, you have your hand up? Go ahead, Tammy. Sorry. You're muted though.
I'll let the committee go and with questions. I have a list of things I would like to ensure that we talk to Rick about and get addressed, but I'd rather the committee go first, and I will sweep up after that, and then obviously the public.
And then the public, certainly. All right, anybody on the committee have a question? Because at this point, we're just getting started, and I see Jeff has a question. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's kind of a question / comment. The agenda item mentions working group, but it kind of seems to me that at this stage, our committee itself is effectively the working group as we start out. And if it turns out to be running smoothly, we can just have it as a regular agenda item on the committee meeting. If it turns out that there are specific issues that need to be addressed in a more, in-depth way, then maybe we do need to form a subgroup to address those issues, and whoever's on that subgroup may be affected by whatever the issues are. So I guess comment.
That makes sense to me, and thank you for summarizing it. I think at the end, and we just remains to be seen, because I think that we're good at this moment. Anybody else? Just unmute yourself if I'm missing you.
Justine, I just want to throw something in there. It's not an accident that the Battery Park City Committee today is grouped with the Quality of Life Committee, because the engagement with Mr. Fogarty as a CCL and the authority and all the other different players as they need to come in and be brought in to discuss different aspects of the project is this is in the model of quality of life's engagement with the DDC writ large across the community for the various massive street reconstruction projects, as well as the MDC dismantling and future construction, and all the other sort of private projects that we've had to haul in to talk about mitigating quality of life issues and planning for the future to avoid them. So I wanted to make sure that we had members from the Quality of Life Committee here, because they certainly have an enormous amount of experience, and you have many on this committee as well. And I want to urge them to apply the same type of thoughtfulness and process to this. Since we have a CCL, it's a best practice for there to be a CCL who knows what's going on, who knows who to contact on their end, and provide a single point source for the community to reach out to individually. I also wanted to say to everyone here at this meeting, if you reach out to the CCL about an issue, you can CC me and I will provide follow through on that issue. This is what we do at Quality of Life. I keep the chair totally looped in, and I will continue to do so for this as well. So I am your resource. I will work closely with Mr. Fogarty. I will work closely with Mr. Spordone, and we will, do our best to be proactive, but also reactive when necessary. So with that, I want the Quality of Life Committee to certainly put their thoughts in if they think that's necessary. But otherwise, this is something that the community certainly has come to rely on, and I don't see that changing.
Thank you for pointing that out, Lucian. So yes, the folks who are on here, who are on the Quality of Life Committee, it would be really wonderful to have you come and be a guide for us too, because they're folks, a lot of you have a lot more experience doing this, and so having your input is really important. And of course, as Lucian said, we'll loop you in too, because I think that would be, don't just let me know what's going on, but let's let Pat know what's going on as well, and Mariama. But I think that all makes sense. All right, anybody else? I don't see any other hands. So then Tammy, and then the community, the attendees, but I cannot see any of them right now.
Khadija.
Yeah, Clay Jabega has her hand
Okay.
up. We'll once
Go to
Tammy's done, I'll
Let the public go first. I'll
Certainly.
wind up at the end.
Ms. Bega, you are able to unmute yourself now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to speak. I support a CB1 resolution for Wagner Park. I want smart and real resiliency for Wagner Park, but this is not this plan. And before anyone thinks it, no, I am not a climate change denier. In fact, I lecture on climate change at Columbia University. I call on Community Board 1 to write a resolution reiterating their past objections to this project as outlined in their past resolutions dated May 23, 17, September 26, 17, December 19, 18, and February 25, 20, and reiterating that these objections have been ignored. The community board is designed to represent the voice of the community, and thousands of us have written in expressing our opposition to this design and asking for a better design. The current design is wrong for 4 big reasons. Number 1, scientifically. It uses invalidated FEMA numbers for storm surge, outdated extreme projections for sea level rises, and it completely ignores the latest design principles to protect against flooding, whereby concrete seawalls are out, nature, mature trees, and mature soil is in. That's what provides true, lasting, and sustainable protection. Number 2, it is wrong financially. It takes money from residents by increasing their future ground rent while ignoring the parts that really flooded on the east of Battery Park City, as BPCA itself admitted in their RFP. This would be Pier A, of course. This point was also brought up in previous CB1 meetings. I suppose it is very easy for BPCA to unnecessarily spend money that does not come out of their pocket and put that money inside big contractors' pockets, such as AECOM. Why are they doing this, and who stands to profit? We are left to make our own educated guesses. Number 3, it is inequitable. While areas in FIDA and Lower Manhattan that actually flooded get zero attention, by all means, let's pat ourselves in the back, for building a cliff on the Hudson in one of the most affluent neighborhoods that does not need it. Let those other residents drown since no money can be extracted from them. And number 4, and very importantly, it is completely undemocratic and not transparent. This whole process is. The residents were not properly asked when this plan was formed. They were not properly informed and continuously misled, and all our comments and protests have fallen into deaf ears. There have been thousands of emails and signatures against this plan. No one can say with honesty that the residents support it. CB1, I urge you to come out with the resolution of Wagner Park today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kalija.
I just want to add that today is not a hearing. This is, we are staying on agenda, so thank you.
And that's what,
If-
yeah,
if
that's what I was
no-
going to say,
yeah.
Lucian, is to let you know that this is not the topic in the Battery Park City Committee. What we're talking about is once the construction starts, how we're going to make sure that life progresses as painless as possible and the quality of life the people who live in the neighborhood, in the South neighborhood and in the surrounding areas, whether they're going to school or working, is affected as least as possible. Everything you raised, Kalija, is more for the Quality of Life Committee. Actually, I take that back. It's not. It's for the Environmental Protection Committee, not this committee, because they are the ones who've been the decision about what's going on and what's not going on, what's going to happen, what isn't, has been taken out of this committee. So it's off topic. And so I'm not even going to address what you're able to say because I can't. It's not my world. This is something for Alice Blank's committee. And I hear what you're saying. I agree with some of what you said, and I certainly will acknowledge that there are folks in Battery Park City who are strongly against this plan, and certainly must acknowledge that. That said, I need to move on. Anybody else have their hands raised? Because I'm so sorry, I can't see.
We have Victoria and then Greg Scheinlin.
Okay, let's keep it to 2 minutes each, please. And let's be on topic, because if you're going to talk about Wagner Park and the stopping the plan or whatever else, that's not for here. This committee is not taking up that issue. That is Alice Blank's committee.
We have another committee coming on at 7 o'clock, and we really need to not, we need to
do.
be respectful of them and the
Yeah.
people who are coming for them.
So go ahead, unmute the next person. As if you're on topic about wanting to talk to Rick Fogarty or the community liaison. We'll go on to the next topic if not, because we're at 6:26 and we have to hurry up.
Victoria, you can unmute yourself.
Of course, I respect it. My issues are and of course, I would love to participate. My concern is for the entire Lower Manhattan that there are no environmental impact or displacement studies. And my concern is that this was done during a pandemic where our government agencies were closed. And I'm happy to speak to it whenever community board one thinks that it to be appropriate. But I believe that we need to speak to our state lawmakers in order to strengthen the laws that this cannot continue because they're very serious cause and effect that I'm just very
Victoria, if this
concerned
is not
about.
about the construction, then I'm going to have to move on.
Yeah, Victoria, I'm so sorry.
No, don't be silly. I didn't realize this was the meeting, and thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming. What you want to talk about is Environmental Protection Committee, Alice Blank, but it's environmental. What's the full name, Lucian?
Hold on, I'm going to pop in here. It's the Environmental Protection Committee. Do me a favor, please email Lucian, and he would be happy to send you the link to all the public documentation for the LMCR as well as South Battery Park Resiliency. So you can see, if you're talking about holistically for Lower Manhattan, the plans that are being planned from the Brooklyn Bridge around.
Mm-hmm.
And then connect you with the Wharf project, which is a third project that is about to start in the Battery. So there are 3 projects currently.
Right.
Okay, please email Lucian and we'll be happy to share that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. No, thank you. Because part of the reason why it's not in this committee is because the Battery Park City Authority's role in all this is just a piece. And some of the things that Kalija spoke to is well outside the purview of the Battery Park City Authority.
Okay,
So-
the next person we have is Mr. Scheinlin. You are able to unmute.
Really was going to repeat a lot of what Clay just said. I realize you're saying that's not within your purview.
Correct.
So I'm going to leave it kind of at that because I think you can infer the rest of what I'm going to say and just respect the fact that you're on limited time. Okay, thank you.
Much. I appreciate that, Greg. You may want to listen to the next things because they do deal with ground rent and the bills, but thank you for your brevity here. I think Tammy, you're next.
Frances is next. She has her hand up.
I just have on the quality of life committee, and this is my first Battery Park committee meeting, and in 2 sentences or more, could you please tell me what the scope of this construction project is? What are you know, what's supposed to happen? Because I'm confused right now because I'm thinking about all the other stuff that people already brought up, and it's like, that's not what you're going to be addressing. So could you just kind of give me what the parameters are and what you're going to be doing here?
So the South.
That's Rick. I think that's Rick's answer to give.
Okay. Yeah, fine. Rick, go ahead.
Sure. So the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project, we are installing measures to help with flooding, to help with, so after Superstorm Sandy, there was a call for resiliency measures, resiliency being designs to help stop water damage and impacts to the city. So our project is designed, and they have designed a whole series of projects along Lower Manhattan to address climate change issues that are going to be, we're going to see over time. So you may hear the term 50-year storm, 100-year storm. The designs we're doing are being put in place to address those storms and how we can protect residents in the city against future storms. That could be water, it could be any number of things that would affect the city. And specifically, our scope and our project is related to South Battery Park City. You may see some other, I know Northwest has a park going on, and even lower. So you may see a lot of work going on around the city, but this one relates to South Battery Park City. There are some things that will be included in, like with Wagner Park. They're doing some measures to update the park. In addition to construction, a lot of times what happens is there will be new ADA requirements that will be met. So we'll be updating things like that. Yes.
Yeah.
I think Frances is looking for the length. So not as much the over conceptual global, because we have a lot of that. She's looking for, you're calling it South Battery Park City, but this is from the southern tip of Broadway across the Battery, the redevelopment of Pier A Plaza, the redesign and redevelopment of Wagner, and the full surrounding of resiliency measures to the Museum of Jewish Heritage. That, I think, is the scope of what Frances needed an answer to.
Correct.
Okay, so you're looking for the landmark scope, not the scope of our actual work.
Correct.
Okay, understood.
Was that responsive, Francis?
Yes.
Thank you. Robin, I think, has her hand raised. I'm going with you last, Tammy, like you said, so thank you. Go ahead, Robin. Oh, you're muted.
This is for Rick. Rick, I'm curious to know, and maybe this has been discussed in the past, but what are the interrelationships that you have with the project just to our south? You know, where is the weave? You know, where is it woven together, if anywhere? I know we have specific boundaries, but
I'm not sure I understand. Can you?
well, there are boundaries to our project. There are boundaries to the Battery Park project, and those are lines on a map. How in reality are the projects connected or communicating with one another on issues that may come up?
I can really only speak for the South Battery Park City project. Are you talking also in relation with the Northwest and with the?
The
I
the
think you mean the
adjoin
Battery
the
Wharf, right? The Battery Wharf
the
project, Rob?
the
Is that what you're saying?
adjoining projects to the north and to the south. And I don't know if there is one yet, but it just crossed my mind that that's something that is important or will be important, and I just wanted to raise it as an issue.
I
Concern.
mean, I can tell you from what I'm seeing and what I know about the project that with all the projects that are going on, Battery Park City, and Nick, you can probably speak to this a little bit, that Battery Park City Authority is overseeing those projects. Each one does have a unique component to it. However, there is coordination that is happening between those. And in terms of again, going back to the landmark scope, I mean, there is defined lines about where we can, what our limits are for our project to cross. And those are very, very defined. So does that answer any of your questions?
No, and let's just put it out there as a question to be answered, because I
Let-
know we're in a time crunch. But my question is really, how do we, Battery Park City, with our various sections of the project, interact with other neighborhoods that are also doing resiliency work? How do we mesh those and integrate those? That's my question. Doesn't have to be answered now if there's no answer now.
The answer actually has been addressed and discussed, and it's always welcome to have more in the Environmental Protection Committee.
Okay.
They put on a really, their last meeting was really pretty in-depth and detailed, that talked about how it all connected. And they actually had a connection from, I believe it was the Brooklyn Bridge, all the way around up through. It would be getting it up to Chamber Street on our side, on the West Side Highway, West Side Highway. Now, the only project that's going forward at this point in time is the South Resiliency Project, but they have plans or they've got conceptualizations, and so there is a lot of communication. Again, that's not for this committee. That's not what we're.
But again, that because just because Battery Park is doing one thing and Battery Park City is doing another, it's an environmental issue, and it is not defined by a line on a map. That's all.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
no,
thank
you're
you, and we
absolutely
can
right,
move on.
Robin.
Yeah.
We'll continue to make sure those lines of communication remain coordinated and facilitated. But yes, very good point. And as these things continue to come online, albeit at different stages, we want to make sure that everyone is talking to one another. There's a lot of right, just like the water doesn't make the distinction about what political entity runs it, neither do considerations about school buses or children crossing or transportation or whatnot. So it needs to be coordinated of a piece, and we'll make sure we do that. But
Thank
thank you,
And
and we'll
thanks, Robin.
truly note that.
Tammy, I'm going to call on you last, please, so we can move on, because we actually have other things to talk
That's
about.
perfect. And Nick gave me the solid intro for what I'm about to say. So, and this goes to Rick, very specifically, and to Nick. The community board has numerous things that the state agency would not know about, because we are a city agency to city agency, that were requests that were made by 276 over the years for bus stops and MTA requests, and that I have emailed and written in letters and spoken in testimony how important it is, before your construction plans are finalized, to not only speak to the school to understand what their current needs are based on their current occupancy, but to understand that there's a District 75 school that's beyond what Terry Reuter handles, which arrives and departs by bus, which has an extraordinary effect. Understand what the community needs in terms of the residential community day and evening, what the teachers need day and evening, because there are people who do commute by car and need access to. I'm extraordinarily concerned. NYPD will do what NYPD wants. But for example, there was an event in the Battery on September 8th, and there were double parked, 2 deep black cars all along Battery Park City, from the edge of Little West Street all the way up to 2nd until midnight. So the problem that the construction team has is, you don't know the neighborhood. The state agency doesn't live here overnight. No offense intended to Nick and the team. You need to meet and hear these things before you're staging, and permits are placed for where you're going to park your cars, whether you're having construction or not. I would surmise to say use a local lot. But again, these are conversations. Where are the buses going to stop? What are you displacing? And understand that no matter what, there are parts that you're going to miss. You see the bus stops as they are. But the Downtown Alliance, due to the ticket hawkers, make different decisions about the bus stops between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And that's an important thing that you need to know. Because if the community gets cut off from access to buses, that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen, because I'll be the first one standing outside, picketing. That's just not fair for the community.
Exactly. So the nitty gritties of it all. And then Nick, we really would like to have some idea about when this is going to start. And I
Yes.
know you may not know it tonight, but let's work on getting that information out to Lucian.
That information needs to be plastered everywhere, Rick. One of the issues is tweeting is not considered communication.
Yes.
Just doing nothing. We must have the best communication we've seen were the posters that just went up.
Yeah.
Right? There needs to be more robust engagement. You cannot rely on the management companies to disseminate the information or the tenants associations. That actually responsibility, I believe, falls on the agency doing the work.
Yeah. So
And
that's,
with that, I'm off my soapbox.
thank you. No, that's okay.
Tammy, I'd like to say one thing. Yep, absolutely. And the communication actually falls on me. That is my job. That's why I'm here to do this. And that's why I have a phone and the email. And if you feel free to contact me, I have, like Nick said, in July, we talked about some of the issues with the school and with busing. And those conversations are still continuing. Right now, we are addressing those, and I will have information for you on that sooner than later. But again, I am the person that falls on. So, please feel free to reach out to me for information, and I will get it to you in the most efficient and best way I can. And it won't be just tweets, I promise that.
Rick, it's been under a week since I heard from Terry Reuter. So those conversations in August were not robust enough to satisfy the school.
Yeah, they're worried and they don't know when things are going to start. And that's something that's of concern.
No one had approached them prior to school starting, so I'll leave that as it is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rick. Lucian, what is the next agenda item, please?
Yeah, Tim, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead. Okay, so the next agenda items are talking about the status of the legislation on the Battery Park City affordability and the resident majority on the Battery Park City Authority Board. Those two, and Lucian, maybe you can pull them both up, the two resolutions that we basically are revisiting, updating and revisiting resolutions this committee passed back in May, maybe it was, but sometime earlier in the year. And it is just noting that going for the majority of residents on the board, that the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate actually passed the bills in both of their houses, and now we're calling upon the governor to sign the bill. So it's summarizing what the bill says, summarizing what this committee asked for, and then the therefore be it resolved, if you want to go down to it, because I can't scroll it. It just says sign the bill. And even if you don't sign the bill, or until you sign the bill, appoint a majority. So that's that one. And then the next resolution. Well, actually, let me stop there in case anybody has any questions or objections to that. And you're going to need to speak up because I can't see you.
All right, I'm juggling some windows here. Let me see. I'm just gonna lower the hands. If you want to talk about this subject, raise your hand, and then I'll call on you.
Yeah.
To make sure that we didn't have any holdover.
And if you're on the board, just unmute yourself, or somebody. Maybe I can. Go ahead.
Justine, can I speak?
Yeah,
I
please.
mean, I think both these should be non-controversial for us. The two pieces of legislation we previously passed resolutions urging that they be passed. They've now been passed. These two resolutions simply ask the governor to sign them. I mean, it's as simple as that. I don't think it
Yeah.
really merits an awful lot of discussion.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm hoping that no one has anything to say, but that, if no one has anything to object to on that one, let's push down and,
Just
go
Coleman
through
had his hand up. I don't know if he
Yeah.
was calling the question or not.
It's for the next one. Sorry, question on the next one.
okay, so let's go to the next one with screen injury and the 50-year extension. Is that the one, Jess?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so this we also passed, and basically, it just reiterates what was passed in both the houses of the Assembly and the Senate. And again, we're asking we're asking the governor to sign the bill. The 50-year extension of the Battery Park City Authority lease is just the lease between the authority and the city, which we have come to understand that needs to be extended before the authority can extend any individual buildings in Battery Park City's lease. They have to have their lease extended first. And that's that. So Jess, go ahead. What's your question, sir?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is good. I'm supportive of this legislation. I just wanted to know, because I think there was a resolution a couple of months ago where the board wanted to remove Part C, and I'm just wondering what from the committee's perspective, what changed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Justine, I apologize for not catching that mistake. The
Oh,
parts,
it's still there?
yes. I think we talked over one another this afternoon when we were trying to get rid of it. Jess,
Okay.
you've found the mistake.
Yeah, thank you for pointing it out.
What was passed was that legislation minus that Part C, and this committee and the community board did support the legislation,
Yes,
with the exception of that Part C. So this draft resolution erroneously includes Part C as if it were passed in the resolution. So that's simply a typographical error. So that should be omitted out of the whereas.
good. Because we did raise it, just that one part. We did raise it. Just the last one there, Lucian. We did raise it, and I think at the end, or there's one place in here where it says it was not part of the.
Yeah, and we misnumber the legislation. What passed is 9032B.
B, yes, exactly. So we have to make sure correct.
And can I just ask what the justification is for getting rid of Part C? I know last time there was some talk of unintended consequences. You wanted to discuss it more. So at this point, what is the objection to Part C?
Well, I'm not sure that I object to it. The resolution, you're right, Jess, that when we passed the resolution the first time around, the committee did not reach consensus on C, so we didn't object to it, or we supported the others, and I think we were silent on C in terms of it needing more study. The legislation, Kavanaugh took that to heart and took C out, and so what was introduced in the Senate was B, 9032B, that does not have that Part C in it, and that's what was passed. And all this resolution is intended to do is to not address that other subject, which I think does need to be addressed. But this resolution is simply intended to ask the governor to sign the legislation that was in fact passed. I think we should talk about C at some point, because that's definitely an issue. I happen to favor it myself.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually, the Part C that was in the bill that we did not, in the A version of the bill, that we didn't opine on or we didn't vote on was about the 50-year extension.
No.
You don't think so? Because I
No,
thought
it became.
It was this, yeah.
it was okay. Then
the extension became C in the bill that was
Right.
passed. It was previously D.
because I do like this 50. I mean, I support this 150% of AMI, but it's not in the bill. It did not make it into the bill, so
Right.
it's not there.
So I think for tonight's purposes, especially since we're constrained for time, we're simply asking the governor to sign the legislation that was passed. I do think we need to revisit this income-based provision that did not make it into the legislation because I think it's important, and personally, I support it conceptually.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
but okay, I would agree with that. And thank you for catching that, Jess.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Anybody else have their hands up? I totally can't see. Anybody Jeff, can you see if there's anybody in the attendee
I'm
section?
not seeing anyone. I'm not seeing anyone in the attendee section with their hands up. If you're
Perfect.
in the attendee section, please raise your hand. Oh, we have a hand.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on a second. Brittany, you can unmute yourself.
So go ahead, Brittany. You gonna talk about this? Can't hear you, Brittany.
Brittany, are you there? Okay, she muted again.
She may be wanting to talk about resiliency, but I don't know.
I'm gonna lower your hand, Brittany. If you want to talk about this and you fix whatever audio issue you have, just raise it again and we'll try to get you unmuted.
Yep.
Except we're about to call the question, I think.
One. So did Brittany raise her hand, or did anybody raise their hand again?
Her hand came back up. Brittany, you can unmute.
Hi. Perfect.
There you go.
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you all?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm actually on an airplane and about to land, so I have to be quick. I did have my hand up on the last subject, so I was not called on before you guys finished up that subject. So I do want to touch on the resiliency project. I want to reiterate my support for exactly what Cleta read out, as well as a resolution, whether it's in this committee or in the environmental committee next week, and support and back up all the thousands of emails that have come in asking for a redesign on this project. I do have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Ask me a question about something else, because we can't, I'm running out of time and we can't talk about that here. It is a valid
Rick,
question.
we don't have phasing. Why can't we talk about why can't we talk? I had my hand raised during the time when you had that subject up.
If phasing,
so you guys did not. So my question is on phasing. The last thing that I've seen is that the first phase starts with the park rather than with the actual vulnerable area in front of Pier A. And so my question is could you elaborate a little bit on the phasing and the thought process behind the phasing? And is that still the latest phasing, is that you're starting with the park and Pier A is going to be the third phase?
And that wouldn't be Rick, I don't think. I think that's Nick.
This was discussed at quite length at the last Environmental Protection Committee meeting in July.
And I think that's where it needs to be.
I listened to that as well. So that's my question. That's my question. Well, it's on construction, right? And not phasing. I listened to the whole meeting, the last
Brittany,
one.
my understanding from what was presented by the Battery Park City Authority and Nick Sportone and the CCL should respond, is that the entire project area would be demolished at once. So the plan was to do all the demo in one shot of the entire project. So it was not phased and staged as the community board had hoped, which was in sections going from, we even suggested east to west, to allow the park to retain its opportunity to be open as long as possible.
That's not what they've chosen to do.
What we were told at the gosh, I don't remember when that presentation was, whether it was July or June, was that the demolition would be entirely across. And that was right around the time of the public hearing. So I can try and find that for you, or have Nick find that for you and send that to you, but that is my recollection of how that is going. It's not staged 1 through 4, it's full demolition across the board.
And that,
Great.
Yep. And that said,
Okay, yeah, that would be great, is to get the details.
I'll have Nick.
And if we could have that presented in the environmental committee, that would the next week, that would be great.
It would not be presented in the environmental committee because it was already been presented as part of the overall plan in the dialogue. And that is something that the staging the construction team should be able to address. Nick, are you still here?
Yeah, he should be here.
Then Nick should be able to answer that because it was already reviewed and done in a meeting prior. Nick?
Nick, if
Just a warning, Nick was having some audio issues.
right. And-
So if Nick, oh wait, hold on. He may be on the phone number. Let me just, hold on, wait. He told me he was going to call in as backup. Let me just see which number may be his. Give me 1 second.
And as you're looking for him, I'd like to make a note, and I'm making a note now to follow up, because if that is something that's Rick and Nick should be able to speak to, I'd like to have that answer. And have that, so we have that, because that's important. And keeping the park open, if that's the goal there, keeping the park open as long as possible while the weather is nice, it is an important thing. And so getting clarity is.
Justine,
Thank
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Hey, guys. Yeah, sorry, I'm here. And Lucian, thank you. I don't know why I'm having connectivity issues, but I called in on the phone just in case. Thank you for that. So the staging plan was presented in July, and Lucian, I had sent you our report, but I can also send it again. It's actually embedded in this evening's report as well, under the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project section, and it shows the staging. So I am far from an expert on construction staging, but yes, it's not like it's one part and then it's a big delay until the second. They are going to follow in close conjunction as one large construction zone. Lucian, if you go, when you open up our report to page 7, where we have the resiliency updates, at the bottom of that, top of page 8, we have a couple of checks of past materials. And the first check at the top of page 8 will be SBTCR project construction logistics presentation. That's what we presented in July, and that information can be shared. It's also on our website, but that's hopefully that's helpful in answering some questions. Did you all hear me?
Can you hear?
It's not on.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the link of the construction logistics presentation, correct?
Correct.
So Lucian, if you don't mind copying that link and sticking it in the chat for everyone, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Thank
Got it.
And maybe if Greg is here, if Brittany's on a plane, if you're here, or Kalisha, you can copy it. And so make sure that Brittany gets the connection. But all right, I'm gonna then say we can move on and take a vote on this, please. Will anyone second my question to call the question for these two resolutions?
I second the call to question. We're voting on both resolutions, right?
Yeah. Both at once. Can we just do, assume it's all yes, and tell me anybody says no? Tell me now, just unmute yourself and talk, because I can't see.
Justine, you have to call, if you're doing it that way, you have to call for no's, call for.
For now, is anybody saying no? Anybody recusing? Anybody abstaining? So then both pass unanimously.
Right.
Justine, can I comment that most people
Yes.
do not have their cameras on and they can't
Oh.
technically vote without cameras?
Yeah, please put your cameras on, everybody. I thank you for saying that, Betty. I apologize that I can't see. I know Bob is here. I think Kathy was having trouble with her camera.
Yeah, but if Bob, if we could just have your camera on, if you want to be counted for the vote and quorum. 1, 2, 3.
He is, may not.
I'm still having the camera problem, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to just, we have quorum even without those two cameras functioning, so
Perfect.
we have Tammy here.
And Cora's telling me she's trying to help Bob put the camera on.
Okay.
So if he gets on, yeah, if he can turn on, great. But if we have quorum anyway, that's fine. All right, we have one more resolution to talk about. Jeff, I'm gonna kick it to you because I can't see anything. Sorry, but it's just, I am so sorry that I'm on this stupid phone, but I can't really see it. So
Okay, well, I can't see it now either, but I can speak to it. But
Yeah.
Lucian, can you put up the
I'm sorry, I'm juggling like 10 windows. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
That's,
I'll start talking about it.
Yeah,
before
yeah,
make
here
sure
it is.
folks
I
are-
got you.
Here we go.
there we go.
Okay, some of you may remember a very lengthy meeting that we had of this committee last, a year ago, July. It was one of the few meetings in the last several years that we actually had in person. It was a hybrid meeting. This was a meeting over the Essential Workers Memorial, the committees, the community boards, and the communities' objections there too. And during the course of that meeting, it was the authority was well represented at the meeting, in addition to Nick, George Sunis, who at that time was the chair, as well as BJ Jones, were all present. And during the course of that meeting, Mr. Sunis made a proposal or a suggestion that the Battery Park City Authority bylaws be amended to assure that there were community input prior to any major decision on land use or use change, and in particular, the siting of any new memorial. It's taken us a while, but we are now taking Mr. Sunis up on his suggestion, and this resolution recites the events of that meeting in July of 2021, and then asks the Battery Park City Authority to amend its bylaws to accomplish this objective. And if Lucian, you could scroll to the be it resolved, which is pretty simple. The first portion of it basically asks that the authority amend its bylaws to create a mechanism whereby before public lands are taken for any permanent use or the land's current use is significantly changed, that the project must be presented at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Battery Park City Authority, and then ultimately put to a 2/3 vote of that authority no sooner than 90 days thereafter. The idea being that it would be presented at a public meeting of the authority and give the community a chance to know about it if people are paying attention, and time to weigh in before the authority actually votes on it 90 days later. And then the second be it resolved, you scroll up a little bit, Lucian, is that that before that vote is taken 90 days later, but after the authority has come up with whatever the proposal is, they present it to the community board. And so as to avoid the possibility that the community board would stonewall them and not allow them to actually present and thereby delay the process, this provision provides that the consultation requirement will be met if they simply ask for the subject matter to be put on our agenda. And if we don't take it up, that's our problem. But so conceptually, no major land use changes without basically a 90-day interval between the authority presenting it at one of their public meetings before voting on it 90 days later at another of their meetings. In the interim, they present it to the community board for community input. And when they do vote on it, their vote needs to be a 2/3 vote. So that's the concept of the resolution.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. I think you summed it up perfectly. Does anybody have any questions? Tammy does. Anybody else have any questions? Not that I'm ignoring you, Tammy. Any of the attendees have any questions? All right, Tammy, go ahead. I don't see anybody else.
So I want to ensure that part of the loopholes in the Battery Park City Authority documents is that the governor is allowed to do anything that doesn't cost the Battery Park City Authority anything. And I want to make sure that we have removed the loophole here with what we're asking, or in the there in the whereas statements, there should be a caveat that says whether or not the funding is provided by or involves the Battery Park City Authority. And then secondarily, all costs should be public information. The cost for construction of it, the construction design, the cost for long-term maintenance, and whatever is being asked for should be completely transparent. Because what we do not want is a situation where a private organization comes and pitches another memorial, and even though it's not going to cost the Battery Park City Authority anything, you know, there's who's managing the long-term maintenance and things like that. So
That certainly matters. Where would you suggest the first part cost?
I'm going to leave this for Jeff Galloway. I think he's going to tell me that by the therefore be it resolved that the vote is taken, that should cover us in general because we're talking about transparency. But I'd
Yes.
like to ensure that in the whereases, the full financial details from start to finish and long-term maintenance, et cetera, is is the whereas.
I'm fine with that, Tammy. As Jeff and I found as we were reviewing the bylaws, they don't have anything about the specifics of anything in it. It's the statutory language that the enabling language where they set forth a lot of the stuff you're talking about. And of course, that would take a statutory amendment to the statutory language to include this. Whereas with the bylaws, we're just asking them to vote on this and to, you know, I mean, yes, they could vote for this, they could vote for it not to happen, they could take it away, but it's a process. And this is codifying the fact that we want to be included for any more use of land. So I like the idea, and I think it's a very friendly amendment to add it. I just am not quite sure where. So inappropriate.
Well, I think the financial transparency could be in a whereas, and then in terms of the financial effects on the land use changes, I think that can be dealt with in the be it resolved, where before public lands are taken for any permanent use or such lands current use is significantly changed, and then we could add in language to the effect of whether or not funding for such land use change
is borne by the authority
or any other public source, comma, the project must be presented.
Yeah, I don't even think public source because that would mean private would be fine. So just say any source without a qualifier, but otherwise, yes.
Fine. I mean, we can wordsmith it, but I think that concept fits in, and then we can provide in a whereas the financial transparency request, which should be, you know, it should be covered under the existing statutes to begin with. It's just hard to get at this information.
Right, exactly. It may well be. I'm not positive, but I would imagine that there's got to be something. But yeah, right,
It's public money after all.
they're fine. And thank you for figuring out where they go, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Call the question?
Yeah, I'll second it if you're good. I don't see anybody's hands raised. I don't see any. I see Barbara Ireland has her hand raised on this issue, Barbara. Certainly, let's give her a chance to speak. Okay, you're unmuted, Barbara.
Taking out additional bonds.
You're saying don't, it will kill the idea because it wouldn't, they would have to be agreeing not to. That's what.
But every time they take out bonds, they give the excess.
Yeah.
You know, they're bonding against our ground rent.
I know.
And they're giving the excess that could have paid for the project to the city.
Oh, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying, but that's our taxes, but,
They have to pay the debt first, though.
yeah, they do.
Something they do, they have to pay before they give money to the city. So it always lowers money that they have to pay back to the city.
Which is why.
This is Lucian. I'm just urging everybody to put a pin or to finalize this because we got the next meeting ready to go.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fine. And
I think that that is a different subject than
It-
this addressed by this resolution.
exactly. It's not, doesn't belong here, but I hear you. And yeah, that will be a topic to talk about next month. Bonding. I would be very much on board with that, but it doesn't belong in this resolution. What we're trying to do is prevent the taking of land, really, basically,
Well,
without
we're trying to get community input before it happens.
before it happens. All right, so I think with that, I'm gonna second your question. So if we can take a vote now, I am going to say that, once again, I'm hoping everybody is yes on this, so I am going to ask, is there anybody voting no? Make sure your cameras are on. Anybody recusing? Anybody abstaining? All right, I don't see anybody's hands raised or anybody speaking up, so I think that also passes. And I think then let's look at the agenda. And Nick, I think we may have to speed through or skip the report.
I think just take any need to know information, and then I'll put a link to your report in the chat. Nick.
Yeah, I think so. So, but that's,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you will have an opportunity
you,
to
Lucian.
speak again, but just wanted to give an additional opportunity if there's anyone who has not yet spoken or who has spoken once, please, you may raise your hand now. We do have some speakers.
I can hear you
like to
speaking.
speak.
Could you put yourself on mute? Thank you. I was gonna say, who was saying that? But I know where she is.
One chair at a time, please.
Yeah, right, exactly. What, no, not even that. She's on the World Trade Center meeting. So,
Yes, Justin and Justine and Lucian, I can be super quick. Just a
Yep.
couple of key items, and Lucian, thank you as ever for offering to post my report. I will have it up on our site as well, but very briefly for you all, and I will just hit the top lines here, although there's always, I think, a lot of good stuff in here. Monday evening, the 19th, 6 River Terrace, Northwest Battery Park City Community Public Meeting number 4. This is going to build upon the conversations we had about the project so far last December, did the workshops, and then we had our open house in June and then open through all of July. This is going to pull together all of that input and feedback we've gotten so far and catch up on where we are. So doors open at 5:30. You can attend in person. It will also be live streamed. I encourage anyone who's interested in the future of resiliency of Lower Manhattan and in this project specifically, where again, we are only now at the outset of the beginning of the design process, to come and be a part of that with members of the community. So that's very important. I will speed through the rest. We have a blood drive coming up on October 12th. That's always very important. Battery Park City has been exceedingly generous in giving gifts of life since the start of the pandemic, almost 2,000 gifts of life now since the start of the pandemic. So thank you all for that. The police memorial is complete. You saw that over the summer. So thanks for all your patience. And while it's a very sad thing that it has to be expanded, we are honored to be able to play a role in honoring those who gave the last full measure of devotion in the line of duty. So that is complete now, right next to Gateway Plaza. And we have some park happenings, which are all in the report. The last two things I would note is, it's not in the report, but I will send you all a note on this either tomorrow or over the weekend, just FYI. The South Cove Quay, which is at the north part of South Cove, that was damaged a few summers ago in one of the summer storms. The deck and the wood planking itself was damaged, you may recall. Construction is scheduled to start there, repair of it, next week. I'll put up a blog post and get it over to Lucian, but just in case anyone is wondering what that is what is in relation to, it will be repaired in kind. So the way it looked looked before it was damaged will be the way it will be repaired to look. And that should take a couple of months to complete. And then the last item for now, very quickly, with upcoming events. I say this only because I know my audience. One of the most, the cutest and one of my most favorite events, the DPC Dog Association annual Halloween Dog Parade, is Saturday, October 29th. So Jeff, that is calendared on the permit team's radar and should be happening from South Cove to Esplanade Plaza on Saturday the 29th. And with that, I will yield back the balance of my time, and thank you, everyone. Try to keep it brief. Thank you.
So much, Nick. I appreciate that. I have a question for you, and I think that I dropped the ball in following up with it. For our next meeting, can we
Go
get
ahead.
a compilation of the walks, runs, whatever that are coming up or that have been approved? Because once Wagner Park closes, we need to be really way ahead of the game in terms of what's happening and what isn't. So you reminded me with the dog Halloween. But
So it's it's in my report, as I always put it in upcoming, but you're
Yep.
right, as we have construction come on board online, to the extent it's helpful to you, I imagine it would be to us. Have a
yes,
conversation about how and if those runs are impacted and what perhaps alternate routes they need to take. And as a result, what second and third order effects the change in those routes may have to the community. So good conversation to have,
Nick,
and
can
we can do
you,
that.
can you have Nydia come in October? We're gonna put that on the agenda.
yeah, that's what I would like to do. That was what I was supposed to try to do for this week. But let's see if we can
I
add.
don't want to commit Nydia's schedule, but someone from the permit team, yes, someone who's
Perfect.
bailiwick. I think that's a fair
That
question.
would be wonderful because we do have the questions and yes, because your report where you would list everything out and then we'll talk about it then.
Okay.
Okay. And then Robin, I think, has a question, so I'll let you talk, Robin. I can't.
It's not so much a question
Uh-huh.
as it is, we've been joined by a birthday girl. And I wanted to say happy birthday to Pat Moore
Oh, happy birthday, Pat.
and say what a dedicated public servant she is for being here on her birthday.
On her
So
birthday.
kudos to you and happy birthday, my friends.
And I think that's a great way to end Battery Park City Committee and then kick
I
off quality of life. So thank you very much, Robin, for being our linchpin there.
Yes.
Okay,
true.
anytime.
There
All
you
right,
go.
everyone.
Bye. Okay, bye on Battery Park City. Thank you, everybody. Stay on.
Thanks, everyone.
And I turn it over to Pat.